Hello and welcome to the Hard Questions. I'm Solomon Serwanja. A few weeks ago, I had an opportunity of traveling to Adjumani District. And specifically, we were carrying out an investigation into Zoka Forest. In fact, that investigation will be coming out shortly. And that story focuses on the only tropical rainforest that survives in West Nile, located in Adjumani District. Zoka Forest covers about 7,000 hectares, according to the National Forest Authority. However, it is getting depleted. The biggest exports from Adjumani has largely been charcoal. Huge sums of charcoal are packed in trailers. We're looking at an average of about 70 trailers leaving the district every single week. At the heart of pushing back against this depletion is William Amanzuru, who is the team leader at the Friends of Zoka. It should be noted that President Yoweri Museveni gave a directive that there should be no charcoal trade or no cutting down of trees for the charcoal business in Northern Uganda. Despite this, just go to Adjumani and witness with your eyes what happens there every day. A number of local people have mounted different security checks, stopping different trailers, only for those trailers to be let go. I'm speaking this because I saw it with my own eyes. On the show today, we want to focus our attention on our natural resources and speak deeply about Zoka. I'm privileged to have William Amanzuru. William Amanzuru, welcome to the Hard Questions show.
Thank you.
Let's talk about Zoka, a forest that I had an opportunity of visiting in the middle of Adjumani, which, by the way, is one of the hottest districts.
Yeah.
Tell us about Zoka Forest for my audience that may not understand it very well.
Thank you. You know, Zoka Forest is a central forest reserve, okay? It's a rain tropical forest. It has the three types of forest in one. It has the tropical, it has woodland, and it has savanna. This is how rich it is. Zoka Central Forest Reserve is a breeding place for the delicious senene people eat across this country. Zoka Central Forest Reserve is a home to many species of butterflies, many species of birds, and many species of, wild nature. But also Zoka Central Forest Reserve is a hub, a center for medicinal hub for the people around it and beyond. It also houses cultural sites. It houses beliefs of religious practices, okay? Zoka Central Forest Reserve has many types of tree species. A research that was done by Makerere School of Forestry, which was not conclusive enough, puts Zoka Forest as one of the richest natural resources in the region. But its potential has not been exploited a lot. But also Zoka Central Forest has what you call the flying squirrels.
Ah.
There are not many across the world. We have them in Zoka Central Forest Reserve. It is in Zoka Forest that you get what you call a natural footbridge. There is a river inside the forest called Zoka River or River Zoka. For you to cross that, you cross it on a natural ridge made by nature. Okay, this is the beauty of Zoka. Zoka has tree species that have lived there for ages. In a nutshell, Zoka Forest is a rich identity for humans and for the life around it. Its level of how it supports the ecosystem of this country, but also for ecological purposes. That forest does a lot, not only for people like me who live in Adjumani, but I think the global community.
Some people can describe it as the lungs of Northern Uganda, covering over 24 square miles. That's quite a big area for a natural resource in Adjumani.
Exactly. So it's one of the richest sites that we have not exploited a lot. We have not studied a lot about it. But also, in a sad note, it's where we are venturing all our anger against nature, and this is very specific on Zoka Central Forest Reserve.
Yeah, let's get right into it. For the audience that may not necessarily understand it, you can relate it to Mabira Forest, perhaps, if you've not been to West Nile. It's just amazing what I saw in there. But William, what is happening in Zoka? What's happening to Zoka Forest Reserve? Such a treasure you've described.
What is happening in Zoka is heartbreaking. It's not worth to speak about it, and it's not worth to witness it. For people like me and many others who see it every day, it creates anger, it creates emotions. You at times lose meaning of life while you're on earth if you see what's happening in Zoka. Illegal timber takes place inside Zoka, unabated. When you talk about charcoal business, Zoka produces a lot of charcoal. The trailers that leave Adjumani every day, they get their charcoal right from there. When you talk about issues of illegal logging, Zoka is part of it. When you talk about issues of illegal settlement, all is inside Zoka. So the forest partakes a lot of illegality such that it's difficult now for people like me to document. Because one, getting inside the forest itself is a risk nobody wills to take. Because you may get in, but you may fail to walk out. Just because the people who think they have the power, they have the authority, they have all it takes to destroy the forest, they invest all their illegalities inside the forest. When you go to Zoka right now, you realize that, for example, this government created what you call security installations inside and around the Central Forest Reserve. When we try to engage them in dialogue and ask why, the response given to us is that this is for peace and security of the people living around, but also peace and security provided for the forest. Zoka
and that is that came off the Apaa Land conflict.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes.
So just for my audience to understand, during the Apaa Land conflict, the Ugandan government deployed security agencies, including the UPDF, to protect the citizens during the Apaa crisis. And I think William can speak a little bit about it. But so you mentioned that then we had UPDF soldiers within Zoka. Tell us about that.
Yes, we used to have what you call a detach. According to the policy documents of the UPDF and of this country, a detached houses not more than 100 soldiers. But now Zoka has, transformed from a detach to a brigade, meaning over 750 legally registered guns is inside Zoka, or are inside Zoka Central Forest Reserve and its surrounding. That is from Uganda People's Defense Forces. If you add in from Uganda Police Forces, there are over 300 police officers that are manning security, that are manning peace. They are all around. Now, in total, you have around 1,000 legally registered guns oscillating or moving in and around Zoka Central Forest Reserve. Now, what will beat a normal person's understanding, including me, is having all these 1,000 legally registered guns for interest of peace and security, but also to protect the forest. And then the forest goes through this massive charcoal production, this massive illegal logging, this massive timber business, okay? But also this massive encroachment by the powerful, by the most, people who think they have the power, they have the veto to do what they are supposed to do. And then the military is silent, and the police force is silent. Nobody wants to talk about these things. People see it as a far issue, not to be talked about.
Yeah, William, sorry to come in. You mentioned about three things. You mentioned about illegal logging. You mentioned about the charcoal business. Let's start with the illegal logging. The media has covered so many stories about illegal logging within Zoka Forest. What can you tell us about it?
Yes, I must be appreciative to the media. The media has done a lot in exposing this. But you see, we are living in a country where impunity is at best of its kind. Okay? Whatever the media has done, it still persists. Because the media has exposed illegal logging with the pictures. I can tell you, the former leader of opposition, Winnie Kiza, traveled, okay, with a team of members of parliament. She traveled to Zoka. There was an interplay between the NFA and the UA guys who were by then deployed around Zoka, okay, deployed to see the health of the forest. They never wanted Honorable Winnie Kiza to go and see one of the biggest trees ever cut down by the illegal loggers. But Winnie Kiza stood her ground and he saw the tree and he took pictures at the site. This is just one of it. The EU ambassador, the former EU ambassador, His Excellency Attilio, paid a visit to Zoka Central Forest Reserve with the 8 other European ambassadors to negotiate with the government and ask government, what can we do different to save the forest if that is what is needed? But the response was that we will take care of this forest, and they are not doing it. You see, these are huge commitments that took place inside Zoka. People have gone to Zoka, you know, research has been done, illegal logging has been exposed. But also interestingly, we have seen situations where the army clashes with the UPDF on the forest products, on either logs or timber and charcoal. But then they keep these classes within themselves. If you go to the security team of Adjumani, by the way, interestingly, the police officers deployed around that belt, they report nowhere, not to the system of Adjumani. From my own investigations, there seems to be reporting beyond. Now, this shows for you what happens and who is in charge of all these distractions, okay? Towards the end of last year, we exposed a military personnel who was investing nothing but in the destruction of the forest. He will move with the, you know, these huge guns in the middle of the town at dance places. You know, he was the alpha and omega of safety and security. He will do anything to you at will. But thank God, through some reports, I'm hearing that he's being tried. But these trials are things that we cannot confess to. So the issue of illegal logging exposed a lot of security agencies. The former RDC, you know, had to leave Adjumani because we wrote a report and the report implicated her with evidence. The former person who was in charge of Zoka, we also investigated and wrote report. The report implicated him in dealing in illegal logging. But you see, interestingly, we are living in a system of governance where if I do wrong in Adjumani, the system appreciates me by, you know, transferring my service and myself away from Adjumani to another district. And they think maybe that is how the administrative actions are, which to me, I don't think it is worth it. Because the kind of RDCs, the kind of DPCs, the kind of NFA officials, the kind of U officials we have exposed with evidence, not hearsay, written evidence that we have subjected it to public scrutiny, but also to the scrutiny of the system. These guys cannot be dismissed. Instead, these guys are promoted. Instead, these guys are transferred to keep living a happy life.
William, let me just come in here. With hundreds of soldiers within Zoka, with the heavy deployment of police within Zoka, with the presence of the RDC within Zoka and all the security operatives who are happening, who are manning the security around Zoka, how can illegal logging take place amidst such tight security?
I think this gives a response as that there is somebody who is holding us hostage in his or her own interest. Because with all the security apparatus and the systems in Adjumani, you will hardly expect even a sack of charcoal to leave Zoka. But if you go there, it's a normal business, okay? For example, if you interact with the army, they will tell you we don't know. If you interact with the police, they tell you we don't know. If you go to the district security committee, they will tell you we don't know. But also interestingly, some of the officers will confess to you that, you know what, you guys are interested on the publication of the president, but beyond the publication, there is a verbal command for these things to continue. Let me give an example. Towards last year, One of the DPC is called Afande Benon. He acted in the interest of, trying to implement the presidential executive directive. He arrested around 19 trucks towards Apaa, removed their number plates, went with this number plate to Adjumani Central Police Station. You know what happened next? A phone call. He came to Kampala. He never went back as a DPC in Adjumani. And then the trucks left. 19 trucks on record. NBS covered the story on their social media, on their many news stream and all that. No accountability. Now, a person like me, what kind of questions can I ask? If something that has been exposed to the world to see, but then because of impunity, because there's somebody who is somewhere bigger holding us hostage. The DPC has never gone back as a DPC in Adjumani. I am told he's here on a local term called Katebe, meaning he earns nothing. By the way, interestingly, he blames me for supporting him to go and really effect the presidential executive directive, but also for losing his position as the DPC. Hard stories that we go through.
Yeah, it's just interesting. I mean, I can't just wrap my mind around the fact that very big trees are cut in the middle of the forest, and logging happens. And I talked to sources who said there are huge trucks that pull the logs, they are loaded onto big trucks, and they live within the forest. Is this something that you can attest is happening within the forest?
You see, the beauty is, this is where I think science has not invested a lot, but if they do, then we'll keep losing this evidence. And a tree cut, it leaves a stem bigger than this table before us. And it remains there for ages. At times, branches of trees sprout from on it. If we go to Zoka and do what you call forensic investigation on the destruction of this forest, what you are saying is the truth, because we will still find the stems around there. And the question we'll ask is, what happened to the tree here? How was it removed? Who did it? Okay? Zoka, I think in a nutshell, we need what you call natural resource audit in this country. And very specific, we need an extensive scientific audit or forensic audit on what is happening in Zoka. Because the level of denial scares me. If you go to people who are mandated to take care and look at the health of the forest, like National Forest Authority and Uganda Wildlife Authority, they will run away from these facts. They will want to push people like me who keep speaking this truth to be called fools, wasted minds, hopeless personalities. They have failed to get life. That's why they are lying every day. I can reveal to you recently when the youth stopped a truck loaded with the charcoal, the current DPC in Adjumani told the media that Friends of Zoka, that guy does not know what he's doing. I think that guy is mad. Because when he looks at me with my disorganized hair system, he thinks I am heading to the grave of madness. And I'm just waiting to meet him and share this with him and ask him what parameter he used to determine that I'm mad. I don't know. You see, these are levels of high denials. NFA will deny what is happening in Zoka, but communities will give you evidence of how many trucks live every day, of how many trucks live with the charcoal, live with the timber, and also logs. But the system will say, no, these things do not happen. And this is where I need, if we can have a forensic investigation into the abuse of Zoka, the truth will come out.
And I had an opportunity of seeing this level of degradation. While in Zoka, the charcoal industry or the charcoal trade is at industrial scale. And what I witnessed are people who are in Adjumani specifically to do the charcoal business, and some of whom are not actually from Adjumani. What can you tell us about the charcoal trade in Adjumani? And specifically from around the areas of Zoka?
When we pushed so hard and the president wrote a ban, some of us celebrated. We went to our local bars, had a bottle of beer or two in celebration. Little did we know that now the charcoal business was shifted, sealed and shifted from the local people now to highly militarized men to now a system of like cartel, of mafia management. Solomon, I can tell you for a fact, even if you get like 10 million now, you cannot venture into the charcoal business unless you go through a military personnel, you go through a police officer, or you break the system and you go through the system. Now, the destruction that you saw there, the massive charcoal business, those guys are doing that trade. They are not the owners of the money of the system of the trade per se. They are like employees. They work for somebody, some of them do not know. Because it's a chain. The big sort sits somewhere, then has these chains of middle personnels. And the middle personnel also employs people. That is why you ask yourself, for example, a district like Adjumani has fully fledged government system and government structures. You have security up to date because you have the office of the RDC, office of the DSO, office of the DPC, all these JAT, WAT, all these are all intelligence systems, okay? And it transcends up to the village level, okay? Then you have a beautiful system also of a structure, you know, the local government structure. You have the politicians from the grassroots to the top to members of parliament. Interestingly, by the way, Adjumani prides on having one of the most respected generals of this country. That's General Moses Ali. And he's also a PhD, I think, holder, something like that. He's now a doctor, you know, Moses Ali. So you see all these huge personalities are coming from there, okay? Then you have the technocrats headed by the chief administrative officer that has beautiful structures. You know, you have a person who is the head of natural resources. You have what you call senior environment officer, you have a forest officer, then you have these trickled, employees down there. Nobody talks about this. The destruction cannot be, no one wishes to challenge it. It's normal, okay? Once you speak about it, you become the wrong guy of the system. And this tells you that the level of impunity is so high. The leadership of Adjumani, I think, is held hostage by the system that is destroying nature in Adjumani.
Or can we just say that they have failed?
I think
because, I mean, with all the system that you've said, the government system, the structure systems, the local government system, and yet this happens.
I think it may not be fair for us to say they have failed because they are responding to the deficiency of our governance. You know, the challenges that is beyond Adjumani. Okay, they are responding to a mafia system that is eroding this country. Where you see, there are individuals in this country that are bigger than the country in which you and me are. Okay, they are bigger than any institutions. So when they speak, institutions shrink, and institutions become powerless. And this is exactly how the system is managing Adjumani. That's why security cannot talk, technocrats cannot talk, politicians cannot talk. Now the local people who stand up to speak are arrested every day. They are tortured, they are victimized, they are called names because the system needs it that way. It's a huge governance challenge that we are going through. For me, that's how I look at it.
William, just so my audience gets to know, many of the people who are doing this charcoal business are not Madi people.
Yeah.
They are not from Adjumani. In fact, take a look at this short clip that we filmed in our investigation of how this business operates there. Ensawo wobo tuse box body egena mu ensawo bisatu.
Bisatu nkaaga entini.
Otika buli luvanyuma lwa nnaku meka.
Kati otika buli luvanyuma lwa nnaku oba nnya oba ssatu. Kisinziira bakasitoma b'oba olina eyo mu kibira.
Kati gwe wavaawo okujja wano.
Nave Kampala.
Wave Kampala ngoze kweyiya. The person who you just watched is not Madi, and the people around are not Madi. Many of them come from Kampala and other parts of the country. And William, you've noted this very closely. How disturbing is that?
It is disturbing such that, you see, when these people come, we are all Ugandans. And we welcome everyone because this is our country we live in. But these guys come with a mind to destroy our natural resources. And these guys come with the power that the local people cannot stand against. Okay? We did an investigation with a journalist from Daily Monitor, and we unearthed refugees inside Zoka, doing destruction in Zoka. When we went to the office of the Prime Minister, we were called liars. I still have the newspaper article that exposed the refugees because we took their pictures. These are people, some of them are coming from Rwanda, some of them are coming from Congo, some of them are coming from South Sudan, some of them are coming from Burundi. Now imagine, legally this person is called a refugee, but this person is involved in such destructions. When we went to OPM, we are called the liars, and we failed to get access to UNHCR because, you see, the system is well built to respond to any loophole and address the loophole within microseconds. Okay? Now, the people who are destroying the forest there, if you speak to them, you know, that's why they have Mark Swifts. They are not interested in having, you know, these houses and the rest. They have Mark Swift because they do this business now, they can collect these things and move. Okay? Now, you do a mistake by arresting one and bring this person, you arrest in the police. As you enter the police, you realize DPC is doing bonga with this person, you know, high five. Then you look at yourself. Is it not me who is on the wrong? What's happening here? None of them have been prosecuted. Okay? The few that have been prosecuted will tell you, I went to prison because I did not have the money that the court needed there and then. Okay? But also the kind of sentences. Okay? Now, when you look at the destruction at a legal point of view, our laws are not punitive enough, but nobody is bothered about that. We have raised this to the parliament, we have raised it to members of parliament and said, please, to protect the nature in this country, you need to, you know, speed up the system, the legal system. You go to courts, you know, at times courts will ask you useless questions. How do we know that this is such a tree species not supposed to be traded in? Obvious questions, okay? The structures, the government structures in this country do not work in support of each other for fair services, okay? Everyone thinks that level of independence, that level of political support is the best, okay? And this aids the destruction more because you arrest this charcoal dealer from like Itirikwa sub-county before you reach Adjumani town where the police is. They have already made phone calls. Either the DPC goes away or the OCCID is doing his or her own thing, you know. By the time you arrive there, no one is there to take the statement. Even if they do, they keep wasting your time. By the time it's going to court, recently we tracked 2 of the cases. Before going to court, these guys went to the state attorney and started negotiating, you know, for a pay from the state attorney. And you know, they will go there and tell the state attorney, then the state attorney will tell them, okay, this is something good, you know. The courts sit to predetermine, okay, the final decision of the court. So Adjumani plays a very interesting system when it comes to issues of accountability, you know, or natural resource abuse. We have seen it all. We have seen how the courts play. We have seen how security plays, okay. We have seen how the political leadership of Adjumani plays their game. We have also seen how the technocrats play their game. So it's a game of every institution is independent of itself, but doing what? To aid the system of the destruction. Because they partake of pay, every system gets to be paid.
And there's a sense of pain amongst the residents of Adjumani. In fact, I went to Itirikwa sub-county, and when you look at the traffic on that road, there are trailers. In fact, I was like, wow, what is Adjumani trading in? Trailers upon trailers upon trailers upon trailers moving from the side of Zoka. And clearly, these trailers are taking nothing but charcoal. And in just this short incident, this short clip that you're going to be, you're just going to see shortly, young people got angry about it and they mounted a security check along that main highway and they blocked one of the trucks that was taking charcoal. And Here's a small scuff of what happened.
If you come, I told you, I direct you in the district. If you refuse, I order
The community.
The community can take this charcoal away. Yeah.
These are trucks that come with the charcoal.
Yeah. I put this checkpoint. I check very fast. This one is cannot. This in me with the charcoal. I leave. You go. If you have charcoal, you don't pass here.
William, that's not the only truck that the young people have stopped. A few weeks ago, there were young people again who mounted another roadblock and stopped trailers, and immediately the police was deployed. These are common occurrences for you.
Yes, you see, these occurrences respond to what I have earlier alluded to. If I have seen it many times, the young people call me, Solomon, I don't have peaceful night, because every night you are being called. We have stopped the truck here, the police is coming for us, this and that. So you need to run all this. But above all, I need to remain strong. I need to put on a smiling face to motivate them, but they do not know what I go through as a person. Every time the young people stop these trucks, the owners of the charcoal now have a system. They alert the police. Then the police will come in a different way. But I am happy that the young people keep asking the police, when we called you, you didn't come. And when this dealer called you, you came. What is the point of the conversation that we are going to have here? And they keep telling the security system that, you know what, we are implementing the presidential executive directive that no charcoal trade. What is your take on this? The recent one, the OC station of Adjumani came full armed. He even shot live bullets to scare off the young people. You see, this is the kind of life we live in. Instead of them aiding to investigate this matter, bring down the perpetrators after their investigation, prosecute them, write about it, they invest more to threaten the young people. They invest more to call us names. They invest more to track us down. They invest more, to make sure that we lose our identity in the community. Okay? But the young people are keeping resilience on this matter. And they are pursuing. Now, for me, my worry is, next time, there may be a lot of shooting where we lose many. Because the security seems to be armed to the teeth, that their interest is not to implement the presidential executive order, but to scare, and if need be, to even kill those who are helping in the implementation. I can tell you this executive order has nothing. It has no political will. There's nothing that is in it. That's why it's not even being discussed. Solomon, imagine a truck leaves Adjumani
Full of
charcoal, okay? You have all these security checkpoints. You have a security checkpoint at Atiak. You have the customs in Igulu, where the trucks park.
Yeah.
Okay? Then the huge telephone calls move. Dap, dap, then police starts acting.
Then you get to Karuma.
Yes, then they leave, then the trucks are escorted. Then you get to Karuma. The same.
Heavy security checks.
Yes, those telephone calls. I can tell you, one of the environmental police officers who based himself in Karuma told me, I wish to retire from here because this is where I am enjoying being in the police force. You just put your hands like this and the money comes, okay? Your work is when you get off the road, you sit and you count. A confession from environmental police deployed in Karuma. When you leave Karuma, okay, you proceed. You reach Luero, the same system. But all these guys will tell you, we did not see any charcoal leaving. For example, if I get a bullet or an illegal gun, let's say a pistol put in my pocket, I will not reach Karuma. The guys will detect it and they will have me arrested. But for a truck, a trailer as huge, even at times bigger than this room, our security systems cannot detect. That is the beauty of the game.
William, President Museveni gets this intelligence every day. Literally, it's one of the, he has a strong network on the ground. But in his directive, he seems puzzled because he says, where do these, I have heard that people protect these criminals. Where do these guns come from? If you read the presidential directive, he acknowledges that there are people who escort or who support these criminal acts and they have guns.
Yeah.
And he's puzzled and he says that the security system should weigh in on that. What's your response?
How I wish the security system listened to what the president has said. You see, Solomon, the day the president comes out and he says, enough to the charcoal business, for example, then picks an army officer and he says, your role is nothing but to stop the trade.
It's a huge, big
I
trade.
can tell you, the trade will stop. You see, in Northern Uganda, we have names of army generals who do this trade, unabated. That's why when they make telephone calls, a district coughs. Every system in the district is brought to a standstill. Okay? Charcoal business is a very lucrative business. It's the modern gold now that is coming from the northern region, that is coming from Adjumani. Okay? Charcoal is packed. There is a place around Tinda where they pack the charcoal. They pack it very well, label it, organic charcoal, okay? Then it is shipped to Middle East. For the rich who are there to use this system where they roast.
Ugandan charcoal is
Yes.
exported to the Middle East.
Exactly, okay?
Where is that?
If you go to Dubai, you will buy Ugandan charcoal. If you go to some of those countries like Qatar and the rest, you will buy Ugandan charcoal, okay? The rich use it for roasting meat, barbecue,
Yeah, but it's exported from Uganda.
Exactly. But
And you have evidence to that.
please, we do. We do. By the way, if this government here, the NRM government under the leadership of President Museveni needs it, let them fund us. We will take them. We don't want to lie on the truth that we have evidence of. We will take them. And they will really see it for themselves. There's a journalist here who did an investigation on New Vision. We gave him the tips and he found it himself. So if government is interested that, yes, we need to put an end to this, let them come to us. Let them not arrest us, call us name, torture us, beat us every day. No, we can have a roundtable dialogue. And we give these names, and then we tell them how we do the investigations, and we proceed. We will reach the end.
How has it been like for you to push back against these environmental crimes in Adjumani and indeed in Zoka Forest?
No, it has not been easy. It has not been easy. It has been one of the most difficult moments of my life. By the way, many times I have taken time to withdraw, but I find I can't withdraw. There are moments I say, I think enough is enough, but then you keep getting those telephone calls. And then communities now in Adjumani and in Madi sub-region, you see, they see me as a solution. I am nobody in my district. I am nobody anywhere. But they cannot believe in that. So it has not been an easy walk because there are moments when people break into your house. This has happened to me, not once, not twice, not 3 times, many times. There are moments when the loggers, I think they get out of their consent, then they venture to kill one of you and disorganize you. There are moments when I have been abused many times on social media, being a fool, a useless person, but I take all this for granted, okay? There are moments when you face trumped-up charges. I've been facing trumped-up charges at Adjumani police, and I leave the matter to be investigated. But interestingly, they have refused to take me to court to prosecute me. So every allegation around me stops at the police. I think it's also because they know if they take me to court, they may not have enough evidence to win the case. But it has not been easy because you lose friends. That's number one. I do not have a lot of friends in Adjumani because people look at me as a center of problem, a center of conflict. To sit with you earns you a challenge. It earns you a threat. It earns you many of these wrong things. So you lose friends. You cannot. I don't live the life I need to live while in Adjumani. Okay. I lead a life of fear. I lead a life of 24/7. You are thinking. You know, every time I am security conscious, at times I don't know why, but you cannot just walk freely, you know. Like if I'm walking on the streets of Kampala, you hear just a hoot, you know, you are jumping, you think, oh, this. So it's a cocktail of disorganized life. That's what I lead. But at the end of the day, then you realize that, okay, you still have another morning to wake up and move on.
And you've lost friends along the way. People have died.
Yes. That's the most painful thing. But you see, the system does not care about it. There's no accountability of the people we have lost. There is no accountability on my colleagues who have been brutally beaten, you know, tortured. No accountability. It is just left like that. And I think the reason why I am still alive, maybe up to now, talking to you is because in the struggle, you know, the European Union gave me an award of being the best human rights defender in 2019. And when I got that award, the institution of the European Union made a public, you know, appreciation of this award. And I think the system or the powers that were now investing maybe to take away my life realized that now here we cannot venture. And that's why most of the people who follow me now go through these untold stories. It's difficult. We have, if you go to organizations here that support the work of human rights defenders, you will get surprise of our names on their list for support. Legal support, you know, psychosocial support, you know, relocation support, medical support, all these things. So now at times now I fear even to write to them because it looks a useless story. You are writing today that, for example, my colleague has been arrested and tortured. As you end a full stop, another is in the same process. You become literally a liar. So that's why now most times we swallow the pain, we swallow the burden to live this kind of life.
Yeah, this kind of life for you is, it's a life of, you know, you're not sure about tomorrow because I've seen that engagement with the police on several occasions. Is there an end in sight to this criminal activity in Adjumani? Or do you feel that you're fighting a losing battle?
No, I have hope. I'm a hopeful person, that's why I keep working. But then I cannot tell you definitely when justice will come. But I feel that every step I take is a step towards hope. I may not be, you know, a witness to the hope, but I have a strong feeling that things will be well at the end of the tunnel. We are yet just walking, so it's a moment, I think, in every transition of events. There must be people who must take the sacrifice. And I think maybe I am a caller to take that sacrifice. Maybe now what matters is, if, for example, if I lose my life today, what will the community do for my children who are still very young, okay? Because my kids are in primary school, okay? I have no means of investment for them. So I don't know what society will look at me in my death, because I have been judged when I'm still alive. I know the kind of judgment I already have, you know, a criminal mind, useless, a loser, a failure, which is okay, it keeps motivating me. But will I get the same judgment when I'll be resting in my grave, at whatever cost it takes? But there is hope. That's why there is that little push from the community that shows for you that there is hope. We don't know when we'll get justice, or we don't know when system of accountability will be created, but we are hopeful.
William, if you were to speak to people in power, and directly to President Museveni who gave that order, what would you tell him?
I will tell him to invest resources to implement the order. Just like how he has been investing resources around his security. He has most updated security system. How I wish he does the same to save the natural resources of this country.
Thank you, William.
Thank you, Solomon.
I've been speaking to William Amanzuru, who is the team leader at Friends of Zoka, which is a team of passionate young people and a group of communities that are going the distance to push back against the degradation of the environment, particularly Zoka Forest. And before I wind up this show, I need to inform Ugandans. It is very disturbing when you get to Adjumani and see what's happening there. Adjumani's biggest export is charcoal. Literally, hundreds of trailers leave Adjumani every single week to take charcoal to supply Kampala, I've just heard that it can also be exported. I think the bigger question that we need then to think about is, as a means of reducing the pressure on the natural resources in Adjumani, we need to think about alternative sources of clean energy that can power our homes, that we can cook. I mean, when you talk about the charcoal question, it all comes back to all of us. Like, all of us really use charcoal in our communities, in our homes. But it's coming from somewhere. And that means that if we are to go before court, we're all guilty. And that means we need to think of what are the alternative sources of energy that we can use to reduce the pressure on the natural resources. Because we are having a mill in Kampala, there's a tree that was cut in Zoka Forest. Perhaps the discussion should as well go to that direction. I'm Solomon Serwanja, and this is The Hard Questions.